Welcome to my class. The topic I'm going to cover today is the demand model. At the end of this class, you will be able to define the definition of demand, draw a demand curve, and distinguish between movement along the curve and shifts of the demand curve. Okay, first let's start with an example. So does everybody drink coffee? And everybody likes Starbucks and have bought some coffee from Starbucks? Okay, so you buy coffee from Starbucks and Starbucks sells coffee for you. So there's kind of an exchange between you and Starbucks. So what do you get from Starbucks?
Coffee.
Coffee. And what do you pay for the coffee?
Money.
Money. Okay, so you exchange money for coffee, right? And Starbucks exchange coffee for money. So in this situation, Starbucks is the seller and you are the buyer. So of course, there are a lot of other buyers who sells, a lot of other sellers who sells coffee. For example, like McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger Kings, and also there are a lot of other people who wants to drink coffee and buy coffee as well. So the buyers and the sellers constitute the market. So what is a market? Okay, depending on what I just said, what is a market?
Buyers and sellers make an exchange with each other in market.
Exactly. So in the market, a group of buyers and sellers exchange goods with the payment. Okay, that's market. Is that clear? Okay, next I will talk about supply and demand. Supply and demand is a model of how a competitive market behaves. So if the market is competitive, its behavior is well described by the supply and demand model. So I will talk about how a competitive market behaves. Okay, let's start with the demand. Okay, what is the demand? You desire something, you want something, and you're willing to pay for it. So how much you're going to pay for it? What the price you're willing to pay? Okay, different people have different prices. So let's talk about it for an example. Suppose that there's a person A who wants to buy coffee, and at different prices he will buy different quantities. Okay, let's make a table. There are two columns, and the left column is the price and the right column is quantity demanded. Suppose that at the price of $2, that person A is willing to buy 10 cups of coffee. Okay? And now the price goes up to $4. How many cups of coffee he's willing to buy? Is he willing to buy more or fewer cups? Fewer. Okay. Suppose it's 8. And why fewer?
Because the coffee is more expensive.
Okay. The coffee is more expensive, so that person is not willing to buy that more, so he will buy fewer cups. And now the price goes up again, and he's willing to buy even fewer cups of coffee. And if the price goes up to $8, 4 cups of coffee, and $10, 2 cups. Okay. Now we have made a table. It is called an individual demand curve. Okay, for that person A. Individual demand schedule. Okay, it's a table that shows the relationship between price and quantity demanded. Okay, so it tells that how many of a good the individual consumer wants to buy at given prices. Okay. So now let's draw it into a graph. The vertical axis is the price, and the horizontal axis is the quantity. Okay, so each point in the graph is corresponding to every entry in the table, okay, in the schedule. So $10 is 2 cups, $8, 4 cups, $6, 6 cups, $4, 8 cups, and similarly, $2, 10 cups. When we connect all these points, we get an individual demand curve. Okay. The individual demand curve and the individual demand schedule shows the same thing, okay, the relationship between price and quantity demanded, okay, although in various forms. Okay, now, of course, in a market, there are way more buyers and sellers than just one. So suppose that in the whole market we have 1 million buyers. Okay. Suppose that each buyer are the same. Each buyer is the same as the person A. Okay. And so what is the quantity demanded for the whole market? How to calculate it? Suppose everybody is the same. So at the price of 2, the individual quantity demanded is 10 cups of coffee. So the quantity demanded for the whole market is
10 million?
10 million. Simply multiply the individual quantity demanded with the number of people. Okay. Similarly, we get the table for the market demand. Okay. Schedule. Now, when we graph the market demand schedule, we also multiply each quantity demanded for the individual with the number of people in the market, so we get this market demand curve or just demand curve. Okay. The market demand curve shows that in a market that there are a lot of buyers, how many of a good the buyers want to buy at given prices. Is that clear? Is everyone following what I'm doing? Okay. So next I will talk about the distinction between movement along the curve and shift of the demand curve. Okay, so it is crucial to distinguish between movement along the curve and shifts of the demand curve. So what is movement along the curve? Movement along the curve is changes of the quantity demanded resulted from changes in the price. Okay? So, for example, originally the price is $4 and the buyers want to buy 8 million, right? 8 million. So it's the point A. And if the price goes up to $6, okay, the point will move here to point B. Okay? The buyers will buy only 6 million. So it moves from point A to point B. Okay, it's called a movement along the curve, and you should pay attention to that. Movement along the curve is only caused by price changes. Okay? It's only driven by price changes. Okay? Questions? No? Okay. So next I will talk about shifts of the curve. Okay, there are a few factors that can affect the demand curve, making it shift. Okay, and I will talk about them through several examples. The first one is people's income. Suppose that people's income goes up. What will happen? Okay, what is the result if people's income increases? What is the result?
People can afford more coffee.
Okay, people can afford more coffee because they have more money in hand, they have more money to spend, so they can afford more, so they will buy more. So when we show it in the graph, okay, at given prices, at a given price, they will buy more. For example, at the price of $10, that original point of 2 million, quantity demanded will move to the right. And every point moves to the right. When we connect those points, we get a new demand curve, which is D1, resulted from the original demand curve. D moves to the right. Okay, so now the demand curve shift to the right. Questions? No. Okay. So second, is people's taste. Suppose that there's a new research coming out saying that coffee is not good for health. So people are willing to consume less, to drink less in order to keep healthy. So at given prices, people consume less. So all the points move to the right, to the left. And we will get another demand curve, resulted from the original curve shift to the left. Okay. So when people's taste change against the good, the demand curve will shift to the left. And the third factor is price of related goods. Some people, for example, the tea. Some people are indifferent between coffee and tea, and they can either drink coffee or drink tea at the given price. But now the price of the tea is going up. Now the price of the tea is going up, and will they buy more coffee or less?
They will buy more coffee.
Okay, because the price of tea is going up, they are willing to buy more coffee, and all the points shift to the left, so the demand curve shifts to the left. The demand curve shifts to the right. They're willing to buy more coffee. Okay, and next is expectation. If people expect that in the future, in the month, the price of coffee is going up, what will happen? They will try to buy more coffee today instead of in the future, right? So if they want to buy more coffee, the demand curve shifts to the right. And the fifth factor is number of people in the market. Now that in the market we have 1 million people, and if in 10 years it increases to 2 million people, so even if the individual quantity demanded is the same, when the number of people goes up, the whole overall demanded for the whole market goes up. So when the overall demanded goes up, the demand curve shifts to the right. Is that clear? Okay, so in this class, I talked about the definition of demand. I talked about how to draw a demand curve and the distinction between movement along the curve and shift of the demand curve. So as you can see, the movement along the curve is only driven by the price changes. Any other factors, including this side, any other factors will make the demand curve to shift. Okay, so after the break, I will hand out some problems that asks you to, I will give you some situations and ask you to tell how it will affect the demand curve. If the demand curve will shift or there is only movement along the curve. And after that, I will talk about the definition of supply, the supply curve, and distinction between movement along the supply curve and the shift of the supply curve. And also the equilibrium price and the changes decided by the supply and demand curve. Okay.